So in this video today, guys, we're going to go over how to evaluate composite functions, okay? So composite functions are when we basically take a function and put the result of it into another function. So the composite of function f and g is noted f of g of x. That's what this is right here. When we state this, we say it's f of g of x, okay? And this is stated the same way. It's f of g of x, okay? So the domain of f of g of x is all values of x in the domain of g, such that g of x is in the domain of f. Yeah, very confusing. So we're going to explain this as we walk through it. Example 1 says, given f of x and g of x, as shown in the graphs, find f of g of 1. Okay, so notice this is the graph of f of x over here, and this is the graph of g of x over here. So we're always going to work from the inside out, guys. So what we want to find is when the x value over here for g of x is 1, and I'm going to do that with my thing. So this is when it's 1, right? So what is my x value right there? That's -1. So we're going to go g of 1, that equals -1, right? Now that we're now going to put in for our f of x. So this is our graph of x, f of x over here. So now we're going to look at -1, what is y? So we're going to go down here and hit our graph and go over. And that's -1, -2, -3. So when we do f of -1, we actually get 3, and that's our answer. Okay, let's do another one, just for the sake of example, okay? So this time we've got g of f of -2. So once again, we're going to do the f of -2, f of -2. So we're looking for the graph of f of x, that's over here. We're going to go over here to -2, and we're going to go down, and we're going to find the y value. Okay, that's going to be -1 right there, right? So this is -1. Then we're going to take that -1, and we're going to put it in our g of x vault. So g of -1, so over here at -1, just our g of x vault right there. So that's -1 right there, right? So that's my x value. So I'm going to go up and find my y value. That would be 1, 2, 3, right? So g of -1 is equal to 3. Okay? So now you guys try it here. Pause the video, come back to me when you're done. All right, so on this one we got g of f of 1. So we're going to look at f of 1. So that's this graph over here. So we're looking for the 1. And notice the y value here is 0, right? So we're going to put 0 in. That's our answer. Then for the g function, we're going to put g of 0. So we're going over here, and at 0, what do we get for the value? See it right there? It's 2, right? 1, 2. So this is 2. So that's our answer. Okay? Now, again, over here we're doing f of 0. Now, so when we put f of 0, so we're only looking at this f function right here. See it? So f of 0 right there is what? What is that right there? That's -2, right? Now, this time we're going to put it back in f again. So when we have f of -2, we're going to go 1, 2, that's -2, right? So what's our answer right there? What's that value right there? -1, right? So this would be -1, okay? Little trickier when it's f of 0, but we can still do it. All right, now, here's our example 2. We're given 3 different graphs. We got an f of x graph, which is blue, right here. We have a g of x graph, which is green up here. And then we have an h of x graph, which is red right here. Y'all see those? Okay, so they're all 3 different graphs. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually now see if we can find these values. So again, we're going to work from inside to out. So we're going to go f of -2. So our f of -2. So we're going to look at -2 right here. See it? That's our x value. We're going to go down, hit the graph, and go over to our y value. So notice that's at -5, right? Then we're going to look at our h graph. And our h graph is the red one. So we're going to say h of, we're going to take that -5 value. And so we're going to go over here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going up to our graph right there. And then we're going over to our y value, which is, what is that right there? 5. So this is 5. That's our answer. Okay, let's do it with e. So we're going to do g of 4. I'm going to erase all that. So we got our g of 4. So our g graph is green. So we're going to go g of 4. So we're looking at 4 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, we're always looking at x values, going up to the graph, and then we're going over to our y value. So that's going to be 2. Now we want to look at our h graph, and we're going to look at our h graph at what? 2, yes. So h of 2, so this time we're going 1, 2, down to our graph right there and over to this 2. That's negative 2, right? So our answer is negative 2. Guys, catching it? All right, let's do the next one. So then we've got an h of negative 5. So again, our h graph is red, so we're going to do our h of negative 5. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going up to our h graph right there and then over to here. So that's 5, right? Okay, now what are we going to do with that? We're going to put it in our g graph, right? So our g graph is g of 5. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go up to our graph and then over to our y value. And notice this time it's 3. Okay? So you guys go ahead and try these two and then come back to me when you're done. So here we go again. Our f graph is f of negative 6. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go down to my graph right there. And that's the y value of negative 1, right? Then we're going to take that negative 1 and we're going to put it in our h graph. So we're going to say h of negative 1. So that would be right there, right? So we're going to go up to this graph and across, and that's 1. Okay? Let's do the other one. Now we're going to do h of 7. So we're doing h of 7. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going down to my graph right there and over to here. And that value is negative 7. So now we're putting negative 7 in our f graph, right? So our f graph, f of negative 7. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we're going down to our graph again right there and across. And that's negative 3. Okay? So that was our answer there. All right, so now this one says evaluate composition functions. So when we do this, again, what we're going to do is we're going to work from the inside out. So we're going to do our g of 4. So we're going to do g of 4, and our g function is the 7 minus x, right? So we're going to do 7 minus x. So we're going to put the 4 in for the x. So that's going to be equal to 7 minus 4, which is what? 3, right? Now what do you think we're going to do with that 3? Yes, we're going to put it in our f of x function. So because that's our outside one. So we're going to do f of 3. So that's going to be equal to 2 to the third. And 2 times 2 is 4 times another 2 is 8. So that's our answer. Okay? So this time with b, we're going to do f of 4. And then we're going to do g of whatever that answer is. Okay? So I'm going to do f of 4. So our f of x is going to be 2 to the x power. So that's going to be 2 to the 4th power. So that'd be 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2, which is 8, times 2, which is 16. So that's 16. Now we're going to put that in our g function, okay? So our g function was, and we're going to say g of 16, right? So that's going to be 7 minus our 16, which would be what? Isn't that going to be negative 9? So that was our answer for that one. Okay? All right. Let's look at our next one. So this one says f of g of negative 2. So this is just a different notation, okay? So what does this mean? I'm going to rewrite it, y'all. So I'm going to say f of g of negative 2. Let's go ahead and put that negative 2 there, sorry. F of g of negative 2. So you can write it either way, but for some of y'all, having seen it the other way first, you might want to rewrite them, okay? So that means we're going to do our g of negative 2, and then we're going to do our f of whatever that is. So we're going to do g of negative 2. So our g function is, so we're going to do 4 times negative 2 plus 7. So that's going to be negative 8 plus 7. So that's negative 1, right? Now we're going to put that in our f function, right? So we're going to say f of negative 1, and so that's going to be equal to 2 times negative 1 squared plus 8 times negative 1 minus 3. So this is going to be 2 times 1, which is 2. That's going to be minus 8. That's going to be minus 3. So isn't that going to be 2 minus 11, which is negative 9, right? So that's negative 9 right there. Okay? So once again, I'm going to rewrite this because I think it'll help you guys. So I'm going to do g of f of negative 2. Okay? So again, I'm going to do the f of negative 2 first. So I'm going to do f of negative 2. So this time, that means we're saying 2 times negative 2 squared plus 8 times negative 2 minus 3. So this is going to be negative 2 squared is 4, so this is 2 times 4. That's going to be minus 16 minus 3, so this is going to be 8 minus 16 minus 3. That's going to be 8 minus 19, which is negative 11, right? Now, what are we going to do with that negative 11? You got it. We're going to put it in our g function. So we're going to say g of negative 11, that equals 4 times negative 11 plus 7. So that's negative 44 plus 7. And that's going to give us negative 37. Okay? So now I'd like you guys to try these and come back to me when you're done. All right, so this next one. Again, we're going to do g of 3. So we're going to say g of 3, that's going to be 3 squared, that equals 9, right? Then we're going to put that in our other function. So we're going to put that f of 9. So that's going to be 2 times 9 minus 3. That's 18 minus 3, which is what? 15. Yep. Okay. Now this next one is g of f of 3 again. So I'm going to rewrite it. G of f of 3. Okay. So what are we doing first? We're going to do the f of 3 first, right? So we're going to say f of 3, that's going to be 2 times 3 minus 3. So isn't that 6 minus 3? So that's 3. And then we're going to put that in for our g. So we're going to say g of 3. So that's going to be what? 3 squared, which is equal to 9. Okay? So let's see if you guys can do this next one. Pause the video, come back to me when you're done. So this one's, again, I'm going to rewrite it down here. G of h of negative 5. So I'm going to do h of negative 5. That's going to be 5 times negative 5 plus 1. That's negative 25 plus 1. Whoops, I don't know what happened there, y'all. Strange. Plus 1, so that's going to be negative 24, right? So then we're going to take that negative 24, so this is going to be g of negative 24 equals 1 over negative 24, right? So the whole term would be negative because the bottom's negative. So what was our answer here? It was B. Okay? So this is just an extra problem, just to see if you guys can do it, okay? So those of you that want some extension, some difficulty, you can try this one. So we're going to do h of g of negative 3. So we have a g of x function. Y'all see it? So we're looking for g of negative 3, right? So 1, 2, 3. There's our value right there. So we're going over here. Sorry. My hand slipped, y'all. So we're going to go over here, and that was negative 2, right? So this is, so when I do g of negative 3, that's negative 2, and then I'm going to put that in my h function, right? So then h of negative 2 is equal to negative 2 squared minus 8. That's going to be 4, right? Minus 8. So our answer would be negative 4.